there, and welcome to Simple Start Homeschooling. In this 7th lesson, Laura and I will be discussing the question, how do I homeschool for high school? We are currently working on another resource that addresses this in much greater depth, but today we want to just give you an overview of the extra requirements involved for homeschooling during the high school years.
So we've discussed quite a bit about what the grade school years of your child's education should look like, what is and is not required for students at a younger age. But what if you choose to homeschool for high school? There are more specific guidelines required for your child to receive a high school diploma at the end of those 4 years. It's not difficult to fulfill the requirements, but you need to be aware of them and have your child complete them in order to receive their diploma.
When I began homeschooling, I never intended to homeschool for high school. I thought that was certainly out of my league, so we sent our eldest to a private high school for her freshman year. She left for school at 7 a.m., and it wasn't uncommon to not see her again till 9 p.m. as she participated in after-school sports or theater. I clearly remember a discussion my husband and I had where we were recognizing that this was a totally normal scenario for a high school student, but we missed her. We had grown accustomed to the homeschool way of just doing life together, so we were especially feeling her absence. Midway through that school year, she came to us and said, I don't think this type of education is right for me. Wait, what? How are we going to do this? On her own, she recognized that this specific education setting and the people she was spending her days with were not a good fit.
After my sister decided she wanted to be homeschooled for the remainder of her high school years, I remember my parents shifting their plans to look at what high school homeschooling could look like for all of us. They ended up hiring a homeschool consultant to meet regularly with them to make sure that we stayed on track to graduate with a diploma versus a GED.
Let's talk for a moment about the difference between a high school diploma and a GED. A high school diploma signifies your child has successfully completed all of the state-required high school courses, whereas a GED is a set of 5 exams that determines whether the student has a high school graduate level of knowledge. When you homeschool, you want to look at your state high school curriculum requirements and complete them year by year. It's not uncommon for a homeschool student to have moved ahead in math during grade school and taken high school algebra in 8th grade. That early timing of the course is absolutely fine, and it counts for high school, as long as the student has completed the class before graduation.
My parents found a 7th through 12th grade homeschool co-op near us that had good teachers offering high school courses 1 to 2 days a week, and then they gave us homework to complete the rest of the week. Also, for a fee, 2 local universities offered homeschool science courses at the high school level. I want to encourage you to check online or call the admissions office at your local community colleges and universities to ask if they offer any courses for high school homeschooling. It was such a cool opportunity to be on a college campus for one class during my early high school years to become accustomed to it for the future. It made my college experience feel far less overwhelming when it was time to actually attend full time.
Our eldest daughter was very interested in graphic design, and at that time, it was just becoming popular. Our homeschool consultant encouraged me to look closely at our daughter's interests and expose her as soon as possible to a possible career direction. She knew that the church that we belonged to was quite large and had a communications office with about 5 or 6 employees. And so we asked if our daughter, at age 15, could apprentice for free for 6 months under them. Well, they had never done that before, so they had to think about it a little while, and they decided to give her that opportunity. They agreed, and you know what happened? After her time was up, they hired her to work part-time at the church doing graphic design for the next 3 years. By the time she was 18, she had actually designed an ad for Time magazine, and today she has a successful graphic design business of her own.
This is one of the really cool things I think about high school homeschooling. You have these extra opportunities where you can plug your kids into areas like that communications department to see if the things they're interested in are a career choice or if they're just something they're enjoying in that season. It gives them a chance to try it out in more with more opportunities than maybe they would have if they were in a public or private school system. As many of you have probably heard, PSEO is another option. That's post-secondary education option. It's an option that's usually of great interest to homeschooling families. It's where you take college courses in high school, your junior and or senior year, either online or in person, for free. The class is free, the books are free. Typically, you'd enroll your student in general courses that would apply to a 2 or 4 year degree, and it's all free. Aside from the cost savings of taking college courses, again, for free, while in high school, another benefit is that your student receives double credit for each college course. For example, if you take a college-level science course, it will count as both the high school science credit that your student needs to graduate, as well as a college science credit. So you're simultaneously fulfilling your high school requirements and your first year of college requirements. It's very efficient. All 4 of us kids did some version of PSEO while we were being homeschooled for high school. We did courses at the local community college, as well as through 2 local Christian universities. And at that time, 10 to 15 years ago, it saved us and our parents over $200,000 in college education courses.
During your sophomore year in high school, when you consider your PSEO options, you'll want to double check that any college course you do choose to take will be transferable to the college that you're planning on actually attending when you graduate from high school. So for example, you don't want to take a PSEO science class at one university only to learn when you graduate that the actual university that you're going to attend won't accept that university's science class. So you just want to do a little research ahead of time. I want to say that our 4 kids chose to work very hard and they excelled in their life choices and their educations. No, not any of them are perfect, just like I'm not. But we encouraged and we supported them. Choosing to do PSEO not only saved them 2 years of time, but it also saved them from starting their lives with a large debt.
With that said, I also had friends who were homeschooled who did not choose to participate in PSEO courses. For some, it was because they wanted to fully embrace their high school and college years. They didn't want to cut them short. Some wanted to work more hours at their jobs. Others had no intention of attending a 2 or 4 year college, so they didn't see the point. PSEO is not a requirement, but it is a perk in homeschooling. We also recognize that there are opportunities to take AP and college level classes in private and public schools as well. When it was time for us to graduate, 3 of us decided to participate in a co-op's high school graduation ceremony and a celebration that was very similar to any small high school graduation. Cap and gown, flowers, speakers, graduation cake, and an after party. We followed that with our own huge family and friend celebration. At that celebration, we each displayed a photo and video slideshow to play on a loop for our guests. We had a table showing our interests and things we'd participated in. Pretty much everything you'd expect from any high school graduation celebration.
Our youngest had not been as involved in that high school co-op and decided to skip that formal graduation ceremony. And that didn't matter. That was totally fine. She still wore her cap and gown. You can see the resource on that below. She had photos taken, she received her diploma, and she had a huge graduation celebration. What matters for each child is that they fulfill the required classes and hours during the high school years to graduate with your state's diploma.
The diploma is ordered online and is given by your school name and signed by you. My parents also ordered an embossing stamp seal with our school's name to imprint on the diploma, just like a standardized school might do to have it look a little more professional.
Another question often asked is if college applications work differently for the homeschool student. Thankfully, college admissions are handled very similarly for a homeschool student as it is for a traditionally educated student. The key thing with college applications is that you want to put together a transcript for your high school student. You'll find a template for that in this lesson's resources.
We'll cover this topic in greater depth in our next program, Simple Start Homeschooling for High School. But for now, let's summarize the high-level high school requirements. 1, know your state's high school course and credit requirements in order for your student to graduate with their diploma. 2, maintain a credit transcript for your student. 3, decide if PSEO is the right fit for your student. 4, participate in your co-op graduation ceremony or have your own. You can visit our resources for websites to order diplomas and gowns. We have some references for you. And then 5, celebrate. You did it.
Join us in the next lesson as we discuss that burning question of whether or not your kids will have social skills.